My strongest student played a phenomenal game, so we will analyze it to see what you can take away and to give feedback for him, to thank him for submitting his game in the school community. In all of the beginner lessons, I always tell you to grab the center with pawns to then develop your pieces and then to castle your king. And you will see that this student already does that very, very well. If you know me, I always use the MSPC system for every single game that I play, meaning my thinking system includes 4 steps. We first analyze the move. What is the move doing? When you know what the move does, we continue the analysis with trying to see what the specific is. If you, for example, see, okay, he develops a knight, very logical move, he's threatening a pawn. Specific, I am in an opening. What am I trying to do in an opening? As I already showed you, we are trying to grab the center with pawns, develop our pieces, castle our king. Then we go for priorities. We have a look at all of the checks, the captures, and the attacks in the position. I know that will probably sound familiar for a lot of you. A lot of people think that checks, captures, and attacks is a complete thinking system already, but trust me, it's only a part. Other people are lying to you. And now we go for calculation. It's always very weird to me that people never include calculation in their thinking system. Yet when they show a game onto their YouTube channel, they're constantly talking about, oh, and I thought about this, but then this and that and that and that what happened, but they never tell their students to calculate as well. That doesn't make sense to me. So we do all 4 steps and then conclude that this move is attacking. The specific, I want to develop my pieces and grab the center with pawns, castle my king. Checks, captures, and attacks. I only see this capture. That makes sense. And now we calculate. I can fulfill my plan of developing a piece while defending that pawn. Very, very good move from my student. Now our opponent keeps developing. Is there a threat? No, no. Okay, so what do we do? It's still an opening, so we want to grab the center with pawns, we want to develop our pieces, and we want to castle the king. So knight to f6, very good move. And now our opponent is thinking, okay, this knight is attacking the pawn. How do I keep developing, keep pushing my plan? While stopping that threat. If our opponent wouldn't see that this was a threat, he would probably castle, but he saw it's a threat. So the only 2 logical moves are knight to c3, d3, and maybe queen to e2, but I wouldn't recommend that. So our opponent plays d3, very logical move, trying to open up the bishop, and we also just continue the development. Very, very good move. Now our opponent plays h3, and we also start developing. Our opponent see that we don't have a threat, so he castles. And now we use something that Grandmaster Igor Smirnov calls the zero tolerance policy. We don't allow any of his pieces on our territory as long as possible. So we find top engine move h6, keeping his pieces out of our territory. And in this position, you can use it as a bait. Sometimes what I like to do when I see that my opponent wants to play like knight to g6, in this position, it's quite annoying that he can also play bishop g6. But let's say he can only play knight to h6 and he doesn't have a threat on this pawn. We could just keep developing. And when the knight arrives on g5, I like to kick it. And when I know that he has to go back, I now got 2 moves because this was the position. I developed my bishop, I kicked the knight, we got the exact same position, and it's my move again. I just got 3 free moves in a row. But in this position, my student finds that bishop to g5 is a threat, so we do stop it, and our opponent plays rook to e1. And now our first mistake follows, bishop to e6. Can y'all try to let me know in the comments if you understand why this is a mistake before I reveal the engine? Answer. Pause the video and write down in the comments why you think this is a mistake. And the answer is it's quite high level. but if you want to reach 1600, you will have to understand this. Bishops and pawns hate each other. If you have a look at this, our opponent has around, what is it, 6 out of 8 pawns onto light squares, meaning like 73.2 ish percent onto light squares, which means that his light squared bishop is horrible. But we have the opposite. We have 6 out of 8 uh pawns on dark squares. And did I say 72.3? That's like 3 out of 4, meaning 75. I tried to be way too fancy. Anyway, so we have the opposite. We have 6 out of 8 pawns onto dark squares, meaning that our dark squared bishop is bad and our light squared bishop is a hero. So here we are trading off our hero for his bad bishop, and that's something very instructive. Bad bishop versus good bishop. This is our good bishop. Even though it's very difficult to put it out, it's way better to put it onto d7. Try to like get this knight in the center, play our bishop onto c6, and make this pawn break to open up this bishop. That will be way better than trading it off. And it's just because it's his bad bishop and our good bishop. That's it. So after take and take, as you see, our opponent's best move is to trade off the bishops because the same concept. It is his bad bishop versus our good bishop. And now he does the exact same mistake. So we are quite safe. Here, I would recommend to take. Can you all try to tell me in the comments why? My student here chose to start the immediate attack, which is fine for a very deep reason. And I'm quite curious if my student even understood the reason. We allow our opponent to damage the pawn structure. And in the advanced courses, I will teach you that the pawn structure influences your middle game plan a lot. Meaning that if this was a higher level, like give both sides like 300-400 points more, and you don't have a kingside attack, this pawn structure is enough to lose the game. Believe it or not, if you get to like a 18, 19, 20, 100 level, just this bad pawn structure is enough to lose the game. So, how do you lose the game with a bad pawn structure? And the answer is only in the middle game, in the end game. Meaning that when you have the worst pawn structure of the two, you should try to kill the game before it goes to a middle game. So here our student did a very good move of instantly trying to attack our opponent's king and allowing him to damage the pawn structure. And those two things go hand in hand. We allow you to damage the pawn structure, but we start an attack immediately. After take and take, our opponent plays c3, very good move, maybe trying to go for some counterplay, keep developing, striking in the center, stuff like that. And now we immediately fight, which is very, very good. Here he takes, and the engine says that knight takes on g4 is an inaccuracy. If you have seen one of my analysis videos where I teach you to analyze your own games, I do leave some details out of it for my students in the course. But you always know to have a look at the top engine moves, and if you think it's not findable, leave it there. Like the top engine move is queen to d7, then it's to take the pawn, and then queen to e7. So I don't know if I would find queen to d7. I would also probably take. So I would just ignore this inaccuracy. You go from like 0.5 to 0.4. Like, I don't know why the engine cries about it. Even the engine says now this is 0.5 and this is 0.49. We are blundering. 0.01, yet it gets an inaccuracy. Like, we will ignore this. And here is where I am not happy. can you all try to formulate in the comments why I dislike rook to g8 before I tell you the answer? That's the most instructive way to teach yourself, because then you know, like, I taught this, oh, it's that, fine. And the answer really is that when you try to attack a opponent's king, the queen should lead the attack. Top engine move here is queen to d7, rook to f8, or queen to f6. And I would play queen to f6. It gets a second top engine move now. Because I want my queen to lead the attack. And also in Beyond the Blunder, my course on my school community, I teach all of my students the definition of a weakness, in my opinion, is something that can't move easily and is easy to attack. And what this does is, first of all, your queen is now leading the attack. Second of all, you are basically pinning this knight to the pawn. If this knight were to move, we simply have check and mate, meaning that this knight is now pinned to that pawn and attacked. That's fantastic. If you can make something immobile and then attack it, it's a annoying piece to defend. So let's say after some queen to f6, pinning this, a logical move is to defend that knight so that you don't have to keep the queen to the defense. I will honestly just play h5, instantly going for the attack, because when my opponent would waste time, h4 just crushes on the spot, because if you take with the knight, you fall for the same checkmate threat. The knight is still pinned. And if you take with the pawn, we have this easy rook sacrifice. Like, that's an easy sacrifice. You can't even take it because of the same tactic. So this is quite advanced already. Top engine move. Let's say like the queen tries to counterattack us. We can just queenside castle with a brilliant move because the rook is still hanging. And if you then like try to, well, do you even try? Let's say you try to like counterattack this pawn. I would simply play rook to h8 and go. And like, okay, this gets an inaccuracy, but sure. There is only one move to be only -6, and it is rook king to f1. All other moves blunder, checkmate. Let's say you take the pawn, we simply have check, then we have check with a brilliant move, probably. You have to take, that doesn't get a brilliant move, that's annoying. Here, if you go here, that's checkmate. If you go here, that, oh, it's not checkmate, hold up. I didn't see that the queen was defending that. You go here, and now I have rook takes on f2, and you're forced to sacrifice the queen or move the king. And if you move the king, I have queen to f4 going for this checkmate. That's beautiful. And if your queen wasn't there, let's say you try to now defend or something, we can still play rook to h8. Now it gets a brilliant move. Like, you're trying to defend the knight, and you just can't do anything. If you try to like attack us, we have check, you have to move, we can give a check. Knight has to take, and we have rook takes. If you go here, this is mate. If you go here, this is still mate. If you go here, that is checkmate. And if you want to make it easy for you, for like the beginners, I teach you in my free courses the kill box mate. You can simply just give a check, bring your queen. Give a check, bring your queen. Give a check, and that's mate. That's a kill box mate, something I teach to the beginners, because it's not going to be top engine move most of the time, but it's a very simple checkmate. And it has a awesome name. But obviously, queen here is also just mate. For the people that see that. So this would be a brilliant attack if you just continued on that foot. But instead, we move the rook, which isn't the best. And now we push the pawn, and that gets a miss. Why? Because you really want to sacrifice your rook here. After take, and queen takes, that's a checkmate threat. That's a threat of an attack. We can simply castle and occupy the entire f file and then have checkmate attacks. Like you really want to sack your rook here. But now my student plays queen to f6, trying to attack. Our opponent goes wrong with this. We queenside castle, trying to continue the attack. Our opponent tries to go for a counterattack, but it's already too late. He blundered a pawn, and now we have this brilliant move. Beautiful move from my student. If you take, you blunder this checkmate. Anywhere you go, this is mate. So that is a brilliant move, a very, very good find for my student. And the attack continues. Now our opponent plays the blunder rook to f1. Can you all try to tell me why this is a blunder? Try to find it. It is one move that's way better than the others. If you set a rook to f2, that's a fine move. It does work. It's again a brilliant move. You cannot take this for the same exact reason why you blunder here. And if you had a thought about that, please write it down in the comments what you think. But it is knight goes to e3. Why does this work? Because the pawn is pinned to the king and you have this royal fork in the middle of the board. Beautiful. And now our opponent did just resign. Beautiful for my students. I hope that was instructive for you. If you want free courses or even a free game review, there will be a link to my school community completely free in the description and in the pinned comments. You can join, watch the video on how to submit a game, and then you make chance to be one of the lucky ones that gets a game review. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.